Or fuck up so many times that you actually get mad.
I'm gonna be throwing the mic at this shit. All right. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of The Many Parallels. Today, we are your hosts. Why the fuck did I say today? Take two. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of The Many Parallels. We are your hosts, Trevor and Zachary. And I think that's about it. Let's get into the episode.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, a quote, I guess, to start this with. What are your thoughts about?
Lay it on me, bro.
All
I'm
right.
here.
The quote is, "Better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven." What's your thoughts on that?
So, like, be at a high place in hell, but work for God in heaven. Like, that's my interpretation of it.
Better to be the king of hell than
Right.
to be a servant in heaven.
I think it's easy for people to maybe want to side with that line of thinking, that logic, because it's like my right versus your right type of thing. Like, what if somebody is doing something heinous, but somebody else thinks it's the most righteous thing ever, right? So then they might think maybe what they're doing is bad, but it's just. So therefore, like, they're a great, like, they would be the king of hell or whatever, like a great bad person, essentially, which is like a real thing. People are glorified for doing essentially pretty sinful stuff nowadays, but like, we could talk about whether sins are legitimate or not later on. It's like, I don't know. It's like, obviously everybody wants to go, they want to get better and go up. Like, that's the kind of like the way of thinking, you know. You want to elevate yourself, you want to ascend, you know, you want to rise above. So like, trying to think like, oh, you know, being the king of hell, so to speak, doesn't really resonate with me. Like, I'd rather like sit somewhere in the kingdom of heaven, even if that's a non-existent thing, like whatever that higher dimension is, rather than the lower dimension, if that makes any sense, you know.
It does. And okay, while the exact sentiment and how it's used in Paradise Lost I don't completely agree with, but the phrasing of,
Okay.
you know, the phrasing of it is what will turn a lot of people away. I feel like the better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven.
Right,
I feel
just
like
the two terms.
Yeah, but I feel like, you know, if you don't think of hell and heaven literally, if you think of them more as an idea,
Right.
whereas in the story they are used literally, but that's besides the point. You could compare it to even something like the story of Exodus. You know, better to, you know, roam the fucking desert for 40 years and not have shit than to be a fucking slave in Egypt.
Right,
You know?
right.
So it has a similar sentiment in that regard. And that's kind of
Well,
framing.
who's the king of, or like, who's reigning in hell in the Moses Exodus story?
Well, the Jews are taking control of their own life. It comes down to semantics of the terms of how are you considering reign? Are you thinking it reigning tyrannically, or are you thinking reigning as just controlling your own life?
Control,
exactly. Yeah. So, in that regard, there is some sentiment, even though then Satan goes ahead and he's like, oh, well, I'm going to become the exact thing I sought to destroy. Fucking shout out Anakin Skywalker.
Essentially.
Yeah, essentially. But, yeah, fucking... How familiar are you with Paradise Lost?
I'm not. So you gotta familiarize me a little bit.
So...
Or a lot of bit.
I'll do my best. From what I know, or from what I've heard, John Milton was like one of the first and also one of the most well-renowned poets that wrote in English.
Okay, right.
And what the fuck? So
How do you come to write Paradise Lost?
That is not something I know off the top of my head, but
Well, like,
I'm pretty sure
you know,
he said something like the Holy Spirit gave him this message or some shit.
he felt it was some kind of divine type of
Yeah, but then
intervention.
he wrote God to be a tyrannical dictator and Satan to be the sympathetic anti-hero.
I've heard something alluding to that. Maybe it is that book before, like maybe on a podcast or whatever I was listening to,
Probably.
where they were like, there's the idea that like this whole realm that we're in is really like run by Satan, and it's like he's kind of our adversary in a way. We're like, or not adversary, sorry, opposite, companion, whatever. He's like, he's the guy that's there to show us how to enjoy our time in this realm, essentially. But I don't know if that's if you seek enjoyment or like pleasure or whatever, like greed, whatever he will represent for you. If you think that's the highest thing for you, like if you want more, if you want the most, then like sure, if you follow his path, he will provide for you a nice life here, plentiful life, but it's about what's beyond, like thinking about after. But if there is no after, if there's no beyond, then it's like what there's no reason to try to live by any certain type of rules while you're here, right? You might as well just be kind of live and let live, which is fine. That is a good philosophy, but like you want to look out for people too, and that's kind of where it gets tricky, right? When you want to look out for other people and try to warn them or put them onto something that contradicts their way of belief or what they live in their life, it's like it's hard to convince people, or sometimes you can't convince people. But yeah, Paradise Lost, right?
Yeah, so
that's where we're at.
You were talking at the beginning of that point. You said something along the lines of trying to think of your phrasing of it, that he's kind of like
a guide or something.
Yeah, on Earth, which to some respects, yes, in more respects, no. I'd say he's painted as I say an anti-hero because it's painted. I guess a good comparison would be something like the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, I believe it's how I pronounce his name, where it's like what he's doing isn't right.
Right.
He's in the wrong, but you feel sympathetic towards him. You get where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Satan's painted. Fucking in my notes I have written, essentially it's like are you the youngest of your family? Of your parents, kids? Oh no.
Well, between my mom and my dad, yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm the youngest, yeah. But
okay,
let's just say that.
The analogy I just put was it's the way Satan felt, which kind of kickstarted this all, was like God got a new kid, his new humans.
Yeah.
And he didn't care as much about the angels, and he felt neglected and shit. So then Satan, some other angels rebelled, all that bullshit, and they essentially decided to wage a Cold War, if you will, kind of like with...
You're saying, wait, before you go further, you're saying Satan didn't, or... See, there's an interesting thing where we got to make the distinction between, like, Satan and Lucifer, I guess, but, like, we can do that.
Okay,
again.
So in the terms of this story, I will be probably using them interchangeably because
that's like kind of how people use them.
Yeah, but then some people also use it because like Beelzebub is in this story too.
Okay.
And he's like Satan's right-hand man, but some people interpret Beelzebub being Satan.
Okay.
But it's not. He's a different demon.
Right.
And there's also like Moloch and fucking...
I've heard this, yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of other fucking demons and shit, but Lucifer...
It basically represents like the adversary, like the opposition, basically.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken,
we could just
Satan comes from the Hebrew term
like Satan or
it's like
Ashadam.
Yeah. Ashadam or some shit like that, which just essentially means a heretic.
Okay.
That's all it means. Somebody who isn't religious, somebody who doesn't worship God.
Right.
So
okay.
That would.
Which is the same, it's the same through and through, yeah.
Yeah, but now it's come to mean the king of hell now.
Like the
in
worshiper
Christian
of
shit.
the opposition force, like like we put
Not even the worshiper of an opposition force, just somebody who doesn't worship God. An atheist would be considered
Oh, sure,
Satan
right.
and
Yeah.
that terminology. But I believe actually John Milton had a big part, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, like fucking Dante from Dante Alighieri, I believe that's how you say his last name, Dante's Inferno.
Yeah. Okay.
And the Divine Comedy, lesser known because nobody knows the fucking two.
I'm not. I'm
parts
not
of it.
so. Yeah, I'm not so like up on it. But like I've heard lots of talk about like the analogies or whatever in the book.
Yeah. So I need to read the actual thing. It's in a different fucking language and finally
Oh,
right
yeah.
translation's great. So that's fucked.
That'll take some time.
Should get my homie on here though because he's got like 3 different copies of it. He's actually fairly well versed in it, and he's also very well versed in Yu-Gi-Oh cards and shit. So that's something you guys could talk about.
Is it the Zach?
No, it's not.
Oh,
It's,
yeah, another guy. All right.
yeah. But
You got Yu-Gi-Oh homies, and I don't even know them.
I tried letting you know about bro, but
All right.
I talked to him briefly about shit. Like even his last name on Facebook, I don't know why he put his actual one, but he's Alighieri, which is Dante's last name.
Okay.
Anyways, so fucking that and John Milton's story, I feel like had a lot to do with how we nowadays interpret hell and Satan, whereas before it wasn't as
Like demonized, basically.
it wasn't
or?
red guy in fucking
Yeah.
chair ruling
Well,
over the 9 realms of hell.
That's the thing that we got like so like.
It just became canon, though.
It's the weird lore of like where not our religion but like society where it's taken it, I guess.
It's
over
weird
time.
how influential like Paradise Lost and more over fucking the Divine Comedy have been to Christianity, where it's like, imagine if I'm just gonna make a Star Wars comparison. If somebody wrote like fucking Star Wars fanfic and they were like, all right, that's canon now.
Yeah.
And everything has to go around this, and it's like, fucking, it's weird.
Oh, yeah.
It essentially is a fucking religious fanfic, if you will.
Well, it kind of is like that with I could be wrong, but it does get like that with certain series, bro. I don't want to name anything and be completely wrong about it, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that happen a couple times where it basically just starts getting taken over by new people, the franchise.
Well, that'll always happen if something's around long enough.
Right, yes,
like Star
exactly.
Wars.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it starts becoming all these new things that it never was originally.
Yeah.
It's co-opted essentially.
It is, but it's weird because it's not like they were, preachers or the fucking Pope or something. It's like they were just random poets. I saw a meme, a fucking like the Chad versus the Virgin thing, and it was somebody yelling at Dante or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, I wrote you burning in hell, and I'm the Chad in my story," and that's pretty much what the Divine Comedy is. He travels through hell, and he's like, "Oh, I know you. You're in the opposite political position of me, and you're in hell." Talk shit.
Right. Okay.
They're like, "Oh, you're so right," and no, yeah. At least that's from a lot of what I hear from it. But then also, elements from it have been adopted in other things, like Halo 3 ODST, for instance, very roughly based off of that. God Tier album by Alisana, A Place Where the Sun is Silent, is like roughly based off of that, with elements from The Emptiness beforehand and such. But
yeah, that was the main one I bumped right there.
Dude,
The Emptiness, bro. Yeah.
The Emptiness was a banger, but dude, A Place Where the Sun is Silent is hands down.
What did the album cover look like? I could look that up.
Yeah, looked it up right now. I do not know how to describe that album art, but out of all their albums, that's the only one that's actually held up and that I can listen to for other reasons than just like, oh, this is nostalgic.
Yeah, it's like it musically does something for you.
Yeah, because like The Emptiness, I love.
Oh yeah, that album. Yeah.
Where Myth Fades Legend, Golden, but I listen to them for like nostalgic. I feel like if I were to listen to them if they came out today, I might fuck with them, but they wouldn't be as impactful as they were.
Well, that's the thing, like.
But A Place Where the Sun is Silent, that could come out today, and I would fucking be blasting it.
Yeah, it's like a moment in time type of thing, where it's like I appreciate music like that too, where it might not be good for if it came out today, for example, or people, it might go fly under the radar, but we can enjoy the fact that we kind of got a glimpse of it back then, and now we always know about it if we remember it. So it's pretty dope.
I feel like The Emptiness, it was a lot more popular at the time because it fit a lot more of that kind of era and shit.
Right.
But I feel like that's why it doesn't live up. It feels a bit more dated and whatnot. And though it is still really fucking cool because, at least from what I know, it's one of the first metal bands or whatever to have like a fucking opera type story through an entire album.
Yeah.
Which A Place Where the Sun is Silent then also did. And then I believe they have another one after that called, I think it's like Confessions, which I know a couple songs off it, but I definitely need to give it more of a listen because like from what I've heard, it's alright. But it's just, compared to A Place Where the Sun is Silent, the way that album, I don't know if you really listened to that back in the day, because when I listened to them when I was a kid, it was like I did not give two shits about that album, but now it's like that's my favorite fucking album by them.
I'm pretty sure the main two that I listened to were that one and The Emptiness, because that's around the time when we were in middle school. Like that's like those albums are only a couple years old at that point. So yeah, like that. I didn't even realize that they have stuff from 2006. That's literally crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they.
That's so old.
I'm pretty sure they started in like 2003, dude.
Yeah, that's so wild. I keep finding that out about more and more bands, that it's like
they're older than you thought.
They started like so much earlier.
Dude,
it takes a while.
Dude, I gotta say though, one thing that really sucks about Alessandra is like, I don't know, they were so big during the whole scene days and shit, but it's depressing now going to see them and they're playing such small venues. And it's like, bro, you guys were like gods. I was talking to my brother about this shit, and he was like, because they don't have that star power. They don't have,
something like super attractive or whatever about them.
They just don't have a rock star. And like I remember as a kid thinking like Sean was like a rock star, but he's not a Chris Franzak per se. He doesn't have that staying power.
Nope. But it's surprising too that with like, kind of the little mini sort of contrived emo revolution that happened in like 2018 to 2020 with like all these different punk rock artists and stuff coming up and like emo bands but like certain bands that we listened to back in the day, they couldn't regain that traction during that bubble because it wasn't their type of thing.
And part of the reason too, I feel like, is because they're all probably 30s 40s and
straight
it
up
doesn't really fit the genre as a whole because it's kind of
it's a young
teenage fucking shit. So it's not like you can really write it all that well.
And they're making these new artists like younger and younger now too. Like it's not like the scene era where these people were in their 20s. No, these
not even, bro. Fucking Johnny Frank, Caleb Shomon, fucking Tac Tac. They were like 15 when they dropped fucking Stick Sickle, you dude.
Well, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. But there's it's like exceptions though, like not all of them are.
They were like 20 and shit when we got into them. But
that's what I'm saying. Like when
they
made it.
Yeah, but as you were saying, you find out they're a lot older. When they started, they were young as shit.
Agreed. I mean, I know even Our Last Night, like you showed me way back then, like that was like my first time realizing like, oh, motherfuckers have been doing this for a minute.
Yeah,
even
they
now.
Started. Trevor was, I think, 13.
That was crazy. That you took me to like, that was technically my second show.
I thought it was your first show.
I went to Asking Alexandria.
Oh yeah, but you didn't like metal or whatever at the time.
Yeah, I was like bewildered by the whole thing. I was like, whoa.
Fucking, I tell the story to people all the time actually of when we pulled up and Trevor Wentworth was taking pictures and you walked up and you went, I love you. You were so starstruck, bro. It was the most funny shit.
But I still had the nuts to be like, give me a hug, bro. And he's like, aw.
Yeah, bro.
Like, with his little sunglasses and everything, bro. It looked like straight up him from the music videos, bro. Like, it was like...
That's because he's the same dude.
I know, but I'm taking my brain back then. I'm like, whoa. Like, it's like cool. Because you're going to the show for them. You're not expecting them to just be, like, hanging out, like, in the parking lot. But, like, you might have been because you understand those things back then. I'm brand new. It's
Well,
cool.
Dan said he'd be down to be on, so I don't care using his name. He's told me like he smoked with like all the fucking My Ticket Home and shit.
I
After
know
asking
at the
about
Metal
that and shit.
Grill back then, that was like a super cool spot where you could like chill with all the
Dude, I
bands
remember
and
at the
shit.
fucking Metal Grill, Pod and you fucking played the Metal Grill, and me and Dan, maybe Dan was 21 at the time, but he was like, he drove me there or whatever the fuck, so we couldn't stay. We would have grabbed a drink land or some shit, but I was like, I want to say I was like 17 or some shit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so said what up, but.
Yeah, I know they had plenty of people pass through there, bro. I went there. Now it's the
X-Ray Arcade.
X-Ray Arcade, yeah,
Yeah.
and I went to a show there for. You know who Tiny Moving Parts is? Have you ever heard of them? No.
Sounds roughly familiar, but no.
Yeah, they're like from Minnesota and stuff. So yeah, I went there for their show. That was right before like the lockdowns hit, bro, and that was the last show that I've been to. I gotta really get to one. I'm
Yeah.
I'm like thirsting for that like experience again, but yeah, no, that place is dope, bro, and
So we
yeah.
bring it back to a place where sun is and fucking. I wish I didn't have my fucking meds because they came to Chicago recently for the 10 year of that and played it all the way through, and I was fucking bedridden.
Yeah, you
so
couldn't
I
even.
And even if I, could get up for that shit, I didn't have the fucking money, and it would have been
Oh.
financially irresponsible.
Yeah, yeah.
So, big rip, but
Bro, I remember going to Warped with y'all too. That was fun as fuck.
yeah, dude.
Like I remember during I think it was August Burns Red or something like that. You're like, bro, I'm gonna go watch like some other shit.
Yeah, because
And
I didn't care for that much.
yeah, and then like next thing you know, I'm like, okay, the one band I care about seeing is Neck Deep, and I could not figure out for the life of me how to navigate through those grounds. So like I was going stage to stage, like trying to figure out where Neck Deep was, and then next thing you know, I hear them opening, and then I see like you and I don't know if you were with Dan or
Yeah, that probably was.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure I saw y'all, and then I'm like,
I think that was the
whoa.
year that Metro Station played. Too.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, okay, because I remember, me and Dan punched in the crowd, and we both were like, it was like this crowd was super split because they, alternated the stage
Yeah.
for Warped Tour, and side for Metro Station or whatever. It was like all a bunch of like little girl, all a bunch of like fucking. It was. And then there was the Neck Deep side that was all, kids in khaki shorts and shit. And
Yeah,
fucking
backwards
with
hats and yeah.
And they looked all just not having Metro Station. And me and Dan felt out of place because it was like, man, I want to vibe, but like,
You guys
we'd be
like
the only
both?
two dudes because we were like dressed like we were in the Neck Deep crowd. We were more on that side, but it was like, Metro Station fucks.
Yeah. You could
So-
you could get down with either, man.
Yeah,
That's
but-
funny. Yeah, no, but then I remember like barely making it in time for the start of that, and like, man, that was the only time I've been there, man. That was awesome. How many did you go to? Like 3, 4?
I think 4, yeah.
Damn, yeah.
But then I didn't go to like the last 2 or whatever because I was peak anxiety, depression shit and didn't like being out of the house for too long. So.
Mm-hmm.
And also there just wasn't as
Whole
many
festival.
bands I cared about. I remember for like one of them and then the other one I don't. It was that.
It just
anxiety
wasn't
shit.
happening. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was a good run that Warped had too. I mean, it's not back, right? I'm pretty
No,
sure.
I wish.
Yeah.
But
They just put on big like 2-day festivals now, like
yeah,
like that.
cost like $800 instead of. I mean, Warped it was like
$50,
45,
yeah.
50 for the admission, but
You
know-
brought you $100. You were chilling for the day.
you're right. That was.
You got you some merch, bro. You got you
Yeah.
a hot dog, whatever. Yeah, you
You
were
got
chilling.
you a single cup of water for like $8 that you had to refill
Yep.
in the sink.
Yep, and that's about
Dude,
it.
Neck Deep too. Like they're blowing up because I remember hearing Dan when he was getting into Neck Deep. He was like blasting a part of me or whatever in the bathroom one day in the shower, and I was like, "What the fuck are you listening to?" I remember knocking the door, asking him what it was because it was good.
Oh, you liked it?
And
Okay.
So they played Warped Tour that year.
That song
and they
really
were on-
did things for them, bro.
So that year though, or whatever, just the year Rain July came out, whatever the fuck year that was. They played a smaller stage. They didn't have that big of a crowd. And the next year was the one you came with.
Mm-hmm.
And holy fuck, yeah, I mean, you remember they had
Yeah,
like one of the
yeah.
they played I think it was like the second biggest stage there.
Yeah.
Like
The whole because the way it works, you obviously know, but for anybody, it's like just basically a big like pit or like rectangle where it's like a holding container
A
almost.
holding container.
where like a certain amount of like people can fit, maybe a couple hundred or
Yeah,
a
'cause
few
they got the
hundred.
fucking stadium bleachers.
And then
around them.
then it's all rows of bleachers and like so it's basically the like most like the front rows of bleachers were filled up and then everybody was trying to pile in that
Bro.
pit or whatever, like that bottom corral area. It's damn near a corral, bro. And like I just remember like being outside on the outside barrier of the corral and just watching people like spinning, popping up, going on top, surfing, everything. And I tried to basically stand on like the barrier and stand on the chairs and stuff and
Did you not get in the crowd?
the people were coming around telling me like get down, so I just had to basically stay at the barrier. That's basically where I watched the show from, was like
Damn, you
right
weren't
at the
even in
barrier.
crowd. That's
Yeah,
a big rip.
I mean it was fine though, like
I know, it's still-
I got to spectate it more than like get sloshed around, but
Part of the thing with me of like, part of going to a show is being in the crowd,
Yeah.
moving around, even though you get covered in other people's sweat and probably a fucking beer that gets thrown in the air or some shit. It's a good fucking time. I don't want to go and just sit and watch somebody play. It's like, let's go listen to the album for free at my house.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. I can see it from like both, because like I've had plenty of like people in my life that just say they would never do what you're talking about, but then like I would do what you're talking about, but I'd also do how they like to. So I can go either way, bro. You can swing me both ways.
Fucking bisexual. I mean, coming
Yeah, musically,
musically bi.
live music, bisexual, bro. Like it's just it's like that. Like because I really can just like appreciate watching like everybody doing their thing.
It depends on the artist's performance. One thing nowadays a lot of fucking people do is they'll just fucking play the song and lip sync over it and shit. And it's like,
Yeah.
or they'll play it quiet or not quietly. They'll play it like half volume and they'll sing with it, but like
No, yeah,
it's not the full live fucking performance that shows
Yeah.
used to be. I feel like at least shows I went to.
I haven't been to any in the past like literally about almost 3 years, so I don't know, but I would just assume that people are using it as like a new model to go by, like okay, there's a new model of we can just have a backing track and then like let the crowd do some work and then it's more of a more interactive thing and like with the crowd, but B, which isn't necessarily true.
No,
Like you
yeah,
can
it
play
depends
your
on-
fucking heart out and it'll be just as interactive, but
Right.
but like they would think they get to engage more or focus more on the crowd and therefore establish more of that connection if they don't have to literally perfectly play their shit, but like or sing their shit, but it's also like ingenuine a little bit because you're but it's been going on for so long. It's just about if like rock is going to adopt that model too, and like
Yeah.
it has increasingly adopted the model, so
But
it's creepy, bro.
I saw some video. I don't remember who it was, but I think it was like at least a somewhat more popular rapper. I don't think keep up with rap shit like that. But he was kind of talking about how a lot of rappers these days do that shit.
It's just a
and
backing
they just play
track.
the backtrack and they
Oh,
don't
yeah.
actually fucking sing the lip sync or
Yeah. Well,
shit,
a
and-
huge thing with them too, with the modern rappers, even like small local artists I've seen, is like they want to have that backing track, basically like how you would hear it in the club or something like that, where it's like even if their vocals are going, you can barely hear. It's just like a faintness, which is maybe what you were saying earlier. Vocals real faint, but like it doesn't. They wanna like be hype and like have the energy.
yeah. But then
that's
it
the
depends
whole
on
thing.
it depends on who you're fucking seeing. Some people can do that. Some people can't. And if
Mm-hmm.
you can't do that kind of hype shit,
Entertainment.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you can't entertain with the physical performance or whatever, you need to entertain with the musical performance.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's real. It's interesting, and like I would say most modern rap. I mean, there are people that are really trying to say something and like get their shit off, bro. But like it's not. it's still so like focused on the beat and how hard the beat is and how heavy that 808 hits every single time, but like it'll it's like everything, it'll naturally get oversaturated and eventually like
I feel like
decline
that
in
shit's
popularity.
that's
Wait, you said what you think
I
has
feel like
been?
that shit's been a bit oversaturated for a minute.
I
now,
understand.
but
I feel that too. Like literally since I mean, a lot of people that I've talked with that are fans of the kind of current rap stuff, they're like, when Juice died, when Juice passed away, R.I.P. that man. But they're like that's when like modern rap music died with him. Which, there's lots of arguments against that with new artists that have come up and been successful, quote unquote, with like charting or sales or streams, etc. But like, at the end of the day, I sonically in the music don't hear much progression past 2019 type of time. 2019 into 2020, like that's when, in my opinion, modern rap music, from what I've heard, just gets kind of lazy. Like there's a lot of introduction of like singing and adding different elements
but that's
of
been going on forever.
right, yeah, exactly, where it's like I don't know, like it's just more of the same, and they're trying new things in order to prolong the life of rap
Keep
music.
it on life support.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how long it will last, because I remember 2018 in senior year they did some kind of I forget if it was in English or what, current events. I think it was current events probably, where they talked about rap is the new most popular music in our country.
Yeah.
So like it went like rap, pop, country, and then
I mean, I feel like
something else.
as
But
long as I've been alive, I feel like rap has always been the most popular. Even though
yeah,
it's like
I feel
there's hip hop and there's hip hop. I've heard people call it.
yeah.
But it's like it's still fucking rap if you
Yeah.
want to be literal.
Yeah.
Like,
And I was gonna say, like, it's weird because the first three genres are low key just one genre. They're just
Yeah.
pop music, rap music on the top of the charts, country music on the
I
top
hate
of the
pop
charts.
as a classification because I always think of it meaning popular, like short
Yeah,
term.
it
But
is.
then it's like, well, technically, like at the time, Limp Bizkit's was fucking pop music, but they're not fucking. I would not.
Right.
Nobody would consider them pop music.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, like it's just pop is like you can go on a technical lane of like no, pop has to be this, that, and this. But I agree with you. It's kind of whatever is topping the charts at the time, like
Yeah.
top 40, top 100.
But then when I think of pop music as a genre, I think of more poppy kind of.
yeah, yeah.
It's like, I wouldn't even necessarily say it's a genre, but like there is something. I think it needs a different fucking term than pop, but.
No, I know what you're
It-
saying. Like,
it-
like you're saying, like the Taylor Swifts and
Yeah,
stuff like this.
It's got pop fits, but it's annoying because it's short term for popular. But like pop fits because I would describe it as it feels poppy, bubblegummy, fucking whatever the fuck shit.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tack that on to any genre,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't make it pop
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah.
Unless it's already.
No, I
Yeah.
think pop, like in the way I think of it when it hits my brain, like pop music, it just means it's constantly gonna change throughout time depending on what decade you go back to, but it's whatever's popular at the time, meaning whatever's getting the masses attention the most. So like literally that was the Beatles, and then that was Led Zeppelin and
But
Pink Floyd, and
that shit was always considered its own shit. It was
right, like hard rock, blues rock, psychedelic rock,
Yeah,
etc.
whatever. They
Yeah,
didn't call it pop, so it's like the
Right.
introduction of
But
the term
they-
pop came
they-
with this kind of poppy shit,
yeah.
and so I feel like it, they just kind of called it that because it was
But
popular.
I think that yeah, exactly.
without having another term for it, and then it just
Yeah.
kind of stuck.
I think that's right. Like I think that it was just like things like tabloids and like magazines and like news and all this stuff that were coining them as like these are the pop artists of the time.
Yeah.
Just as like a hip way to say it.
Or just because you only have so much space on the page.
Yeah, exactly. So literally
Abbreviated.
pop artists, but
Yeah.
like you obviously then have more like, I'm just gonna name drop like you know, Britney Spears-esque pop artists
Yeah.
that have been throughout the decades that are like, that's kind of what we're thinking. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
that's the idea of like a pop artist, the Taylor Swifts, Rihanna's, etc., where they're singing, they're more like up, like, I don't know. You said bubblegum, but like,
Yeah,
like, I agree, but what does this mean?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know, but that word, for whatever reason, kept coming up in my brain.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm just gonna fucking say it.
But I feel like that might even be like a subgenre almost of pop, you know, like bubblegum pop, where it's like that is what we're thinking of, opposed to the general term pop music, which is all different throughout time.
As I said, I feel like pop. I don't know. You bring up the magazine thing. I feel like that's got to be what it probably was. Like
Type of
pop
thing.
abbreviated because they only got so much room to show you the top artists. So people just started referring to it as that, and then that stuck for that kind of genre.
Right, and I could be wrong. This is just what I loosely have a memory of. I think there was like something. You know how they have like the top 40 now?
Yeah.
Like that's like the thing for artists. Like, oh, if you're in the top 40, they had like the pop 25.
Yeah.
Like the pop 25. You know, like, oh, did you make it in the pop 25? And then if they've made it in the pops, then they're like, you know, you're a real successful actor or whatever. So it's like, it was almost like a badge of honor at one point to be a pop artist, where nowadays it's like, to anybody that is like more musically
Informed.
inclined, informed, or intelligent, I would say, like, just meaning they have a wider scope and understanding of different types of music, then like you're gonna understand that the badge of pop is not like one you should wear proudly nowadays. Like if you're in the lane of, should I trash some people or not? It's like, if you're, let's just say it's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. If you're in the lane of a MGK, or in the lane of a Luke Combs, or whatever this
Fucking
guy's
Luke
name.
Combs, I don't even
Exactly, exactly. Who is Luke Combs? But
Who is Luke Combs?
but watch this.
Watch what?
I want to see how many album sales this man said. Okay, so he sold 9 million albums. Okay, and you don't know who this man is, and it's like, that's
Well,
what.
that's because I'm not up to date with much
But-
shit. I don't listen to the radio.
Right. No, I understand. Neither do I. But it's just like, my point is that this is a country artist. The other guy is a
Oh, he's a country artist.
this other guy is a rock artist. But these are both like very bubblegummy pop forms of the music.
Well, MGK, yeah, I'd agree. MGK just makes, at least, like, I like his shit, but his punkish shit, but it's definitely just like,
It's formulaic type
it's
of.
formulaic, like he just kind of used AI generation to make Blink-182
Yes,
songs.
yes, exactly that.
But it's like, it's not bad, but it's not like fucking crazy.
It's not groundbreaking.
Yeah, if we want to talk about good fucking like punk rap.
Yes,
artists,
yes.
fucking,
And just know whatever.
Lil Lotus, bro.
Oh, I love Bro. Yeah.
Lil Lotus kills it, and same with fucking Every Time I Die.
I used to listen to him like religiously. Him and Cold Heart. I don't know if you know who Cold Heart
of course
is.
I know Cold Eye.
Oh
I
man,
listen.
both of them were so
I
like.
listened to Lil Lotus for like, that was like the only artist I listened to, and if I wasn't listening to him, I was listening to Every Time I Die, which, if you're not familiar, it's his metal band.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know.
Yeah, bro.
I only knew him as that, bro.
Yeah, he's a screamer of Every Time I Die. Fucking great ass band to make like.
How long
early
has
2000s type shit.
how long has he been with the band? Because
I
is that
Not no, but it's like,
is
I'm
that
pretty
before
sure,
his solo stuff, or?
I think it's after,
Okay.
because most of the members of it, if I'm not mistaken, are like other rappers and other kind of fucking people in that scene too, and they were just like, they all grew up on the metal shit, so they were like, all right, let's get it rolling. What the fuck did I just click? I'm trying to read.
Yeah, it's interesting how like that happened to a few people where, you know, a lot of them were in bands, right? And then they liberated themselves, so to speak, and like started a solo career.
I'm fucking retarded. I said Every Time I Die. That's a different fucking band.
Okay.
It's If I Die First.
Oh,
That's what it is. I was saying every time I die, that's a different fucking emo band.
I've heard.
But I'm pretty sure it's one of their biggest inspirations. The name's similar.
Right. I've heard some of their songs, I believe. Now that you mentioned the name, because I remember him, I think, promoting it, and I was like, oh, he's doing metal. That's that's crazy.
They got a song with See You Space Cowboy, and that song's a fucking banger. I don't know if you know See You Space Cowboy either. But.
I've only heard the name. I don't know the music.
I know Dan likes them a lot. I prefer If I Die First, but they remind me of like Fall of Troy type shit.
Oh, that's cool.
But If I Die First has more cleans, and I like that. I
Yeah.
like the girly singing style. I don't know what it is about that, but with metal, it just sounds so good.
Yeah.
It's like
meant to be type of thing. Yeah.
Match made in heaven.
For real though. How do we start talking about him? Lotus?
How did we start talking about it?
Yeah. Oh, we were talking
MGK
about
pop,
like
punk
bad rock.
and
Yeah.
fucking, yeah, so I had to say a good artist.
And then good
And
rock.
I ain't slamming MGK, and you know
I don't
one
like him at all. That's my
very-
opinion.
very,
I'd
hot
step on his
take.
feet. Yeah.
very hot take. All music is good in its own respect.
Yeah,
Neckbeard will not agree, bro.
It's a purely subjective thing. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I thought about that before too, because I was like, well, somebody could, it's the way that it's a really interesting concept, because I got into the thought of it with this, like when you describe hot or cold, it's like neither of those are right or wrong. You're just describing what the actual thing is. It's just temperature that you're experiencing. So when you say this music is good or bad, it's neither. It's just sound you're experiencing.
I feel it's a bad analogy just because you can measure temperature very accurately.
No, it's real, but it's like you're describing the same thing. Like you're describing temperature. It's not hot or cold. It's just temperature. It's the temperature. It's just what it is.
It is hot or cold depending on however many fucking
but
Fahrenheit, Kelvin, fucking Celsius.
That's not true though. Because,
that is true.
No, because what's hot to somebody might not be hot to somebody else, and what's cold to somebody might not be cold to somebody else.
So you're talking about relative temperature, not. There is. You can tell if it's hot or cold, but you're saying relative to your own feeling.
Like, there's gray area. Let's agree with that. Like, there's gray area where
I just say
it gets
depends on how
foggy.
you're measuring it. If you're talking about relative to your own perception, then yes. If you're talking about scientifically, then no.
But that's all there is. Like, everybody's own perception. So what's outside of your own perception is what it is. It's just the temperature.
But then there's things like the sun, bro. You're gonna go touch the sun and be like, this is freezing.
I don't know what that big old ball is up there, bro.
It's a hologram put up there by fucking NASA.
China? Oh.
Or China, whatever.
Something like that, yeah. Like
NASA and China, same thing.
The world power. Yeah, no, they probably got another one in the works right now, dude. They're gonna
Sun 2.
Yeah. Yeah, sun. It'll be like more luminous, bro.
More luminous.
Just wait
more
for
energy
it.
saving.
Yeah. Energy saving sun. Wait for this to come out. Dude, we have something to talk about for the next ep though. Well, maybe not the next, but soon. It's called, I'm pretty sure, Meno, like MENO, something like that. And it's supposed to be a city that is like, it makes Dubai look like crap out in the Middle East. It's like a new Middle Eastern project.
Is it that like wall fucking
I think
city
it
that's,
is.
like, in the wall type thing?
Yeah, I think that's correct.
I saw that shit, like the concept of it.
It's supposed to be so crazy.
When I first saw that, I literally thought it was concept art for some new sci-fi shit coming out.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was. So I was like, dude, this is a sick-ass idea. It's like,
it's not,
if you were to make a Halo ring but flat in the middle of a desert, like, that's sick as fuck. And I was like, oh, this is
actually
actual,
underway right now.
Yeah, this is an actual architectural fucking thing they're trying to do? What?
Dude, they said there's gonna be like the biggest hotels the world's ever seen, like flying cars, which I don't know how you pull off flying cars, but apparently they're working on it.
The problem with flying cars is, where the fuck do you drive them? They're there's so much fucking air. It's like you'd have to have like a radar system and flying cars is the dumbest shit I ever fucking heard of. Maybe hover cars if you want. You know,
but it's extra. You being extra for that. Like, why you gotta make them hover?
Tires do fine, but I'm saying like, why you don't need your shit to fly? And you know how many motherfuckers, you know, fucking do not take good care of their car. You know how many motherfuckers just be fucking plummeting out of the sky, bro?
Right.
That
would
like, not be a good time.
You're gonna follow the exact like drop down laws when you're supposed to lower your car.
No, motherfuckers are gonna wait. They're gonna be like, oh, I know my car, even though their gas light's been on for the last fucking 20 miles. They're gonna fucking dive down and
exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, like it is so much like other like dystopian like cyberpunk type of stuff that they're doing too, which we'll talk about. But that just I don't know, it popped into my mind like, dang, they're making Mino or whatever.
Mino.
It's supposed to be. No, I got it backwards. Neom. Yeah, so it's like Neo, which is like the future, obviously, and then like it comes the M.
Does that mean the future in like Latin or some shit?
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, Neo, whatever, and then like futuristic of the future.
I wasn't sure if they were just big Matrix fans or some shit.
Right, I swear though, like that's why he was called Neo.
I figured
right?
Then that's why I asked if it was like Latin or some shit or Greek, whatever the fuck.
And like the M comes from some word in like Arabic. Or I could be wrong. I think that's the language, Arabic, which is like, I think it stands for city. So like future city, you know, it's just simple. But like, I already look at Dubai and I'm like,
Dubai's lit.
this is like the new Atlantis almost, you know, like if you
think it's gonna fall into the sea.
Well, I mean that's like literally apparently if like. Rising sea levels are a real thing, then like it will eventually, and like before many other cities, it will eventually get flooded out and stuff. But
I don't even like when I hear Dubai, I just think of there is this fucking video of like some kid on like laughing gas or whatever. He's like, Dubai's lit, my boy Rocco. That's all I think of because me and Dan were geeked on.
You've never watched like
But I don't know. Shit, I know it's like a big ass fucking like.
Bro, it's literally, it was literally, you know, you think Egypt and you think like, oh, like desert for miles and miles.
I don't think that. That's a stereotype.
But you know, like, that's what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
the stereotype. So, like, okay, that's like where they literally were, like in that stereotype, the sand dunes, and it became this, like, I don't want to say utopic, but like, because it's not.
Is it along? No, it's not along the Suez Canal, is it? No, but it's right on the Arabian Sea.
Yeah, and dude, like, okay, you can say this about Nevada in the exact same way, where like it's in the middle of a desert, like that whole fucking city should not exist. Like, it's taking literally absurd resource like consumption in order to feed this like hub of a city that is Las Vegas or whatever that like shouldn't be. I mean, any big old concrete jungle, you can get into that of like, why do we have these big concrete jungles? But it's just like they could be energy harnessing, harvesting things. I don't know. Like the shapes of skyscrapers are very weird. I don't know. I'm not a skyscraper conspiracy theorist, but it's like the simple
conspiracy theorists.
I mean, there's got to be.
I guess there's
conspiracies for anything, but you know, just the simple thing is like that I've heard about them is like they're like a stupid way to live. Like, why are we just building up and like not out? Like, why can't?
Because it takes up less space.
Exactly,
overall,
exactly. Like, why can't
you get more utilization out of a smaller fucking plot of land?
Yeah, but like. Everybody should have their own land, like in an ideal world.
I agree. I think cities as a whole,
it's perfect for that.
It's like
to not have land.
Even small cities like this nowadays, it's like, you know, back in the day, people, you know your neighbors. I forgot where I heard it, but I was watching shit, and dude said something about how like newspaper used to be like, oh fucking. Brian got he got his door painted or some shit. It was like actually what the fuck was going on in the city, not oh, the world's gonna end. Oh, fucking China's about to invade fucking Taiwan, and then they're gonna fucking
fear-mongering.
chip shortage, and yeah, exactly, for fucking clicks. Which it's one of the bad things about having a free market in terms of
the press.
The press, yeah. I think there is benefits to it, but people have kind of learned, how to take advantage of that, and whether they realize it or not, because evolutionarily we have a tendency to focus on the more negative things because, well, it's good to remember where there's some berries over here that are edible, but you don't need to remember that as much as there's a fucking tiger over here that's gonna fucking maul me, so I need to not go over there. It's like we tend to remember the negatives more, and it catches our attention more because whatever fucking.
Yeah, well, it's playing on the idea of humans being able to ponder the future. Like we don't know it. I don't think if any other animal deeply ponders their future.
I don't think so. I think
that's like a distinctly human feature. So like that is literally being messed with anytime you consume that type of information like you're talking about.
So to wrap it back to what we started here with Paradise Lost, we want to go the religious route of it is, we ate from the tree, and that essentially gave us, this
nutrition.
Yes, it gave us nutrition, and that is all we needed. Bam, end of story.
The nutrition of...
What if that was fucking... That's the Bible. They ate from the tree and they got the nutrition they needed to go on. Instead of dropping dead. No, we got the nutrition of knowledge, though. And
well, it sent them into needing nutrition, essentially, right? From eternal life to being mortal or whatever, to like, they need to feed themselves and stuff.
I believe... Fuck that. Okay, random side tangent that I think is fucking hilarious to think about. Because when you think of the Garden of Eden, you think of the snake seducing them. You think of a normal snake, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a fucking lizard because one of the things, Satan or whatever, snakes were cursed by God after seducing us to not have legs. So they had legs before, that means. So that means they were just fucking lizards.
Are you sure that he wasn't talking about just the people? How do you know? It's the...
Because we have legs. He cursed the snake. And then women were cursed with like...
oh, you're
that's
right.
That's why they feel pain for childbirth or some shit.
I thought the way that it was interpreted was like... That's interesting.
It could be just a fucking weird translation.
I thought my understanding of it was like, if you act like the serpent, then you will end up like the serpent. Like, you will be essentially like he'll put you on your belly and shit. Like, take away your legs or whatever. Like.
So you're saying God was like threatening us?
Right. Yes. Essentially, like now, like because of what they've done, acting like the serpent, all you who come after who act like the serpent will be. I don't know, like turned into the serpent. But why would he want to take their legs away?
So
I don't know.
One thing in Paradise Lost as well, when Satan, after seducing and getting man kicked out of the garden, man and woman, but man just meaning humans.
Yeah.
Fucking
human.
He went back to hell or whatever. He got punished back to hell, and obviously snakes were fucking no legs and made to crawl on their bellies. It was like that word was used at least in John Milton's shit too. So
it makes it sound like dragons, right, or something. Like it sounds like a dragon or something. Before, like according to what you're theorizing.
I mean. Just a lizard with a more arrowhead instead of...
But, like, why? Like, why would they run with the snake instead of the lizard, right? It's just a weird thing. Like, why is the snake synonymous with the devil instead of...
So, something I've heard is just, like, evolutionarily speaking, back when we were chimps and shit, too, snakes were always a big predator to us in, like, Africa and shit when... swinging from trees and we were vibing out there, fucking monkey. Snakes would be coiled up in trees, hiding in bushes. They're ambush predators, and they were one of the, one of the most dangerous threats to us. Like, yeah, there's tigers and shit, but that wasn't something as problematic for us. Whereas, no matter if we're in the trees, if we're on the ground, snakes are a fucking problem. And so evolutionarily,
I
it's believed that like we've developed this innately fuck snake attitude, and that's why so many mythologies depict reptilian creatures like dragons and shit. And
there's like a serpent in everything.
Yeah, exactly. There's always a serpent. There's fucking Jormungandr. There's fucking fuck. What is it? I forget the Aztec one, but it's
many native peoples.
Many just
believe
every
in that.
culture all over, and then like the Chinese, Japanese dragons are serpents.
It's weird how some of them are benevolent and some of them are malevolent. Like they're like good and bad and
that's what I was gonna say though, because it is weird that maybe it's just part of us is innately drawn to the curiosity of reptiles because they are one of the more weird creatures, I guess, that we can see. So maybe it's a curiosity thing, or maybe it's evolutionarily we're scared of snakes.
Well, isn't it like we have like a reptilian part of our brain and a mammalian part of our brain, and that's like those are the two.
But I'm not cold-blooded.
Those are the two it's just more of like the way that we act, essentially. Like reptilian. I can't describe both of them. I don't want to say it wrong, but like one is more like essentially, like you say, cold-blooded, or like okay, conspiracy theorists would say
Zuckerberg is a lizard.
Yeah, like royal white people are like they're like more reptilian dominant in their brain, and then like whatever melanated people are more mammalian.
We branched off, evolutionarily speaking.
Yeah.
Before reptiles, like the mammal tree became something before reptiles were even a fucking thing. So we wouldn't even be reptile brained at all. But I may be wrong about that. But I'm almost positive we split off around that time. That, like the synapsids. Yeah. I don't think synapsids are technically lizards.
So let me read this terrible article right here from American Natural History. Our older lizard brain keeps our bodies working and provide basic survival motivations. Our newer, more developed mammalian brain improve our emotions and memory.
We're saying lizard, but we mean reptile.
Yeah, it does say lizard brain, oddly enough. Wrinkly cortex helps us plan, predict, and use languages. All these regions work together. I mean, it's just a weird way to describe, I think, parts of the brain. I don't know if it literally means, like, we have the same parts as a reptile, I think and
what
shit.
It's supposed to be like
it's kind of our old primate brain, and I think our more the thing that they can't fucking explain brain, where it's like, how did humans
what people are
grow?
doing is they're saying like our analytical brain versus our creative brain, perhaps, because I mean, in most fiction and shit too, you'll see the lizard. If there's like lizard men, they're usually seen as a bit more anecdotal, fast, because it's how lizards see them. They're just like moving around. They very twitchy, I guess. Like they're analyzing shit.
Yeah, mammals, bro. Mammals are just, I don't know, they're chilling.
Yeah, we are. We did. I think we defined. I can't fucking. All these fucking words.
I know dates and stuff.
Amniotes, tetrapods, synapsids, all fucking science dick shit. Whatever.
I know, we don't even. Yeah.
It's a whole other rabbit hole in there. How did we even fucking get to this?
Lizard brain. Yeah, we were talking about serpents and stuff too.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say too. I think it's weird that because I've heard a couple different people propose the idea that, you know, we dislike serpents and whatever, and it's inspired a lot of dragons and shit because of that monkey hate snake thing. But then I think it's weird that like the Japanese and Chinese dragons are seen as benevolent in a sense, but it's really fucking interesting. I think the dragons there are way cooler than fucking European dragons. European dragons are kind of gay as fuck, if I'm being honest. But they're really cool because it's like they're tied to like nature. They're essentially, you know, giant nature spirits. If you will.
Yeah.
And it's like, they usually are. I wouldn't even necessarily say lawful. Like, are you familiar with the D&D alignment chart at all?
No.
Fuck, because for them, the people who are, I would consider, like, the Chinese, Japanese dragons are, like, lawful neutral. But how it works is, like, there's lawful, neutral, and chaotic, which, lawful means you have, like, a code of some sort. Neutral means you just kind of live and let live. Chaotic is you live to be a fucking nuisance, I guess.
Yeah.
And then there's that, and then there's also good, neutral, and evil, which are you doing it for good, or are you doing it for evil, or do you not give a fuck at all? Right. So then it's an axiom. You could be one of the 9. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm surprised. I feel like I did a terrible explanation, but...
I mean, it's just like a hierarchy, bro. I get it. It's like, yeah.
It's just like a chart thing that fucking... I don't know, old D&D used to enforce.
But were you connecting that to something? Like
I was connecting it to the Chinese and Japanese dragons, saying that they are lawful neutral, I'd say.
Okay.
Because they...
But what do you view the European one as, then, or stuff like that?
It depends on the interpretation, but a lot of the time they're kind of depicted as chaotic evil.
Yeah.
Sometimes lawful evil, but they're almost always evil.
Okay, right.
Whereas Japanese, Chinese ones are, I would say, mostly neutral, like indifferent to humanity and all that shit.
I know. In South American civilizations, they had benevolent ones as well. Like, so like the Inca tribe, like they had. I only know this because of
Quetzalcoatl. That's the name of the Aztec serpent I was thinking of.
Is that a good one?
Yeah, he is the creator god. It says he's the god who brought wind and rains too, but...
Yeah, interesting, dude. Yeah, I think the one in, I think it's like something similar in the Inca in South America. It's like, it's actually real crazy because they're called, from what I understood, they were called like Amurica or something.
The Amaru.
Yeah, and then when you have a bunch of them, they're called, like, how is it spelled?
Amaru. Amaru. It's probably pronounced.
Yeah, and then when you have a bunch of them, it's like Amaruka, and then it's real interesting because like that's what our country is named, America.
That's got to be a crazy coincidence because we're named after Amerigo Vespucci.
But is that really what it is, or is that some like bullshit, BS? And we're actually named after a serpent from South America that they knew about for a long time.
Could be the case, actually.
Yes, bro. I think that's like some third eye open shit right there.
But like, if I'm not mistaken, is Amerigo Vespucci Italian?
Yeah, but I've watched like some stuff where like they like decode like many different examples of that, which this is the one that I can only recall right now, but like they'll do that where they name stuff after a guy, but then it's like upon further research you figure out that it's also synonymous with this other thing. So it's like, did they really name it after old boy for like whatever apparent reason or non-apparent reason, and then it just matches up? Like you said, it could be pure coincidence, but then again, are coincidences real? I don't know if coincidences are real.
Coincidences are definitely fucking real.
I think everything happens for a reason, though.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say, whether they are dictated or not, yeah. So, I guess...
It's like we just can't understand everything. Like, but everything happens for a freaking reason, dude. Like... It's just like a coincidence means it's beyond our understanding. That's kind of how I look at it. I had a long debate with this guy I worked with a while ago where like he died on the hill that coincidences were different from fate or what's just going to happen. And I'm like, no, they're the same thing. Like a coincidence is just what's going to happen. Like, and like it... Like, it's, if you want to say that like it's pure like I don't know.
Okay, so
fate is the same thing.
Coincidences.
To me. He said that fate has divine intervention or like divine presence to it, where coincidence
That's
doesn't.
that's something that I don't know where the notion comes from, but I remember, always thinking as a kid, and I'm sure there's people who still think this to this day, like that Christians or whatever, there's this book of fate or whatever, and you believe that your life's kind of mapped out. Because I remember thinking that was one of the things that drew me away from it. It was like, oh, my life's not dictated. I'll do what I want, but that's not the fucking case. We literally, we have free will. That was what separates us from all other of God's creations. Which
Wait. So you were saying back then you didn't like it? Why? Because
I thought that it was essentially saying that my book or my book is already written. My story is already dictated, and it is going to go away.
You said no. I have free will.
Yeah, I said no. I don't like the whatever reason. The idea that it's all written out doesn't sit comfortably. But then I don't know where I got the notion of that's what Christians and Abrahamic religions believe. I mean, maybe Muslims do, but I doubt it because I don't know much about that. But because when that's what separates us from, as I said, all other God's creations and even the angels and shit, which brings me to something that I was going to bring up earlier when we were talking about Paradise Lost, but kind of forgot. So what I was going to say was, if the fucking angels don't have free will, how the fuck did Lucifer rebel and do all this fucking shit? Because they supposedly don't have free will. So that's why I'm like, how could they rebel? You can have like a Riley little dog or whatever that's a douchebag, but it's like they're not gonna fucking rebel against you to overthrow your fucking shit.
And it goes back to the same kind of paradoxical question of like, why did he have to make his two first creations, Adam and Eve, fall from grace? Like, why'd you let it happen?
So
if you're the Almighty,
he gave them free will, and he kind of just wanted to see what lesser beings. I guess it's a weird thing.
It's like a test, right?
Yeah,
that we were meant to fail.
It was like you can have paradise. You literally have all this, and there's one rule: do not eat the fruit from this fucking tree. But he gave them free will so that they could if they wanted to, and then fucking Eve got seduced by the serpent.
See, the way that I picture that is like there's just this real beautiful snake, like, started wrapping around like the tree or something, and then she was like, she was just like a normal woman and was like, oh,
caring.
I want to go eat, like, I want to go over by the snake and like eat the apple, and then like, what could be so bad about it? And then next thing you know, like, Adam's like,
bitch,
like, babe, what you doing? Like, damn, like, we weren't supposed to eat from the tree.
So I need to read the actual Bible.
And then he starts eating it too, and then they go together because he's like, I can't be without her, like, because that's what it's all about. Like, in
Paradise Lost, it goes, Eve had a dream beforehand, the night before, of, I think she ate from that tree or whatever, and then she was whisked away with an angel to heaven or some shit, and it was like this super awesome shit. And she told Adam, and he was like, okay, well, don't eat from the fucking tree, dog. And then she went, and there was a snake who
seduced her.
Yeah, he was the same motherfucker who gave her the dream, and like Lucifer was the angel in the dream, whatever the fuck. And he seduced her into eating it, and he was like, oh, God doesn't want you to eat it. Well, it's probably because then you'll be his equal, and he doesn't want an equal. He wants to be the all-powerful ruler of everything and shit. So then she was like, yeah, all right. And she fucking ate it, and it was like, oh yeah, she felt fucking amazing for a good minute or two, and then she kind of felt regret. She went and told Adam, like, yo, I fucked up and ate the apple or whatever, and convinced him to do so as well, so that their punishment would be like,
together.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're the two humans. Let's take the fall with me.
Yeah.
When realistically, it's like, actually, bitch, Adam was first.
Yeah.
And then fucking Eve was made from his rib or whatever because he was lonely. Did you also know the name Adam literally just means man?
Interesting. Okay.
It's translated from Hebrew. It's like Adam.
But did you know?
It's just man.
But did you know that before Hebrew, in the ancient Egyptian culture, the sun god, his name is Adam.
Sun god is fucking Ra.
That's Adam's son.
I'm pretty sure.
Look
no,
up.
I'm thinking of Ra's son.
Look up Atum.
Atum. Yeah,
But it's no coincidence, though. It is no coincidence.
Well, yeah, languages inspire
They-
one another, obviously.
I think that the Hebrews found out what the Egyptians were on, and then because basically, from what I understand, Greek and Hebrew kind of have origins around the same time, so they don't know who was.
I'm pretty
first.
sure there was some rune shit found that like Egyptian, Greek, Hebrew, and a couple other languages, like from around that time, all evolved from like essentially one part of the language.
Okay, right.
But there's only a few pieces, and it's like super fucking old, so it's in like really poor quality. It's hard to kind of make out a lot of it.
It leads me
And
to believe
we don't have shit, but like
that it comes
yeah.
from a central idea or something like that. Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, a lot of religious ideas are kind of shared and tossed around between different cultures and such.
You could draw many parallels. That's crazy.
No, like for real.
You
though.
can, yeah.
And
Something I've been noticing.
fucking another thing too, of that's why like Judaism and then Christianity and Islam, fucking after the fact, they differed because back in like what the fuck is the term for when you have like a pantheon of gods? When you're not a monotheist, you're
Polytheism.
polytheistic religions, a lot of the time it was like, there was a few cases where it's like we have our set gods, but a lot of the time it was like, the Greeks and the fucking Egyptians, they
had like
they pull up and be like, hey, have you heard about this god? And they was like, oh no, that sounds fun, cool, I'm gonna add him to my list, type shit. And
like they had like dozens and dozens.
yeah,
of
exactly.
gods,
There's
right.
like endless shit, and like
Because
they
I
have
think
their main ones.
It comes from the idea in my head. This is an idea that these are all just false gods, bro.
Well, one thing too is
These are all
you have to think
just
of
men.
These societies. They may be connected. They may do some trade together, but they're not as connected as we are nowadays with the internet and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you hear about a tomb, and you hear his story, and then you kind of retranslate it and you put it into your own fucking words, because the way you tell a story that you hear from word of mouth, it's gonna be, even if I tell you it how I say it, you're gonna tell it different. Then somebody is gonna interpret one small part, and through time it will fucking change and shit.
Yeah.
And so that happens with all these small farming cultures and shit, and they only kind of worship the gods that matter. It's like, okay, well, we need the sun to grow all crops, and we need rain and shit.
It happens again and again. Like, I'll just put it like this: earliest Egypt. I don't know about earliest Egypt, but like from what I understand, earliest Egypt worshippers of Atum, Adam, whatever you want to call him, Atem. Then it transitions to worshiping of Ra, because Ra is like the equivalent of Jesus. Like,
real quick, I'm looking at the phonographic pronunciation of it, and it's actually pronounced Yatamu.
okay.
Yatamu. But then it later became abbreviated to just Yatum, and then that somehow became Atum.
Right.
But yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. It's like,
over time, it gets morphed.
yeah, it gets morphed as languages shift to dialects, and then just word of mouth shit going all around.
So, like, they start worshiping, like, he is the sun god, the creator of the sun, Atum, sorry. And then, it transitions, like, his children are Ra and Set. So, like, basically, Ra is the sun, and Set is the darkness, sunset. You hear it? Sunset. Yeah. And then, like, we use it every day, and it literally is the same thing with like Hebrew, where it was Elohim or whatever, and then Yahweh was his son, along with Baal, 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 and then it went
like that.
it went to Yahweh worship, his son, after it was originally Elohim. So it's like it always transitions into the worshiping.
Baal is a Middle Eastern. It just says he's in many ancient Middle Eastern communities. He's god of storms, but it does say it does come from Hebrew as well. So
Isn't this interesting?
yeah,
And
I felt like I heard that before. That's why I looked it up.
They had transitional periods in the Jewish amongst the Jewish kingdom where like they went through Baal worship, where like they start worshiping Baal instead of Yahweh.
No, okay. This makes way more fucking sense. It's not that they didn't worship Yahweh. It's because in the Torah, you're not supposed to call God by his name.
Yeah.
Baal just means Lord, owner, possessor, master, leader in Hebrew. So they were just saying Lord, master.
Wait, for who? For Baal?
For God, yeah, Baal. Baal.
But it
or however it's actually Hebrew's weird pronounce Baal.
But that's like a thing that like they just started using it that way. But originally, from what I understand, like the original God was El that they had. El, Elohim, Elohim.
They actually don't know where that comes from, but they do still use that.
That was like the first word.
Yeah, El is used as like a what the fuck is the term that you add to that? A suffix. I believe suffix, right?
Yeah, but
it's used as a suffix on words
it just means the like the way that the means like exist. El just means the like the thing that exists.
From
the
what
one
I've heard, and I mean I just looked it up here too. Again, I can't verify because it's using Brave summarizer thing, so it's got a bunch of different sources here. But El. From what I heard, they don't actually know where it originally originates. They think it's Elohim, but whatever. They're not positive on that. But it is used as a suffix to mean God or like something in relation to God, whatever the hell.
Yeah, but that's because originally they were calling it Elohim, like the other extension of the word, like Ohim, is like that was who they worshipped, like whoever that God was. Like, that's my understanding of it. And then he had offspring, which is the two, Yahweh and Baal. And then they suppress Baal and rock with Yahweh, but they're not going to call him Yahweh in the Bible, or in the text, rather. Like, they use this other word called, like, Adonis, or, like, something like that. It starts with an A-D.
In Greek?
No, it's Hebrew. Like, they just used a different word. Greek and Hebrew actually are real similar or something like that. That's what I read. And like
Hebrew's fucking,
because they both come from the same place. They come from Phoenician like dialect or whatever. So it's like basically, bro, like my point is just essentially that it always seems to digress or devolve into let's worship this new thing that is like let's worship this new thing that is connected to and is the representation of the original thing, which is weird because why do we need to move away from the original thing? Is that just what time does? Like we need
without it
we need a new like savior essentially.
I don't think it's like intentional. It happens through time.
I could see that.
So Elohim versus Yahweh. Yahweh is God's name. Elohim is just the word God. So like the word for God or like gods is Elohim, whereas Yahweh is literally the name of God. And then what happened with Hebrew, because I heard there's a current discussion about Adonai being too much, but they didn't say Yahweh as much. They started saying Elohim, meaning God. But then they felt like that was too much, even though El is still added to the end of everything to mean God as a suffix. And then that became Baal or whatever. Maybe there was another step in the middle, and then that became Adonai and whatever else it might have been.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
So it's a lot of evolution of Hebrews being they're like, oh, this is the current debate because Adonai also means something around like my master or something.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, my lord or
Which,
whatever.
you were talking about Adonis or whatever. Maybe
I think it
that's
was what you were
because
saying,
it's
Adonai or whatever.
yeah, Adonai is. I'm pretty sure it's spelled like.
That's what I was thinking of for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's what they had to use instead of
Yeah, when I went to
saying the
synagogue,
name.
that's what they would say. And the rabbi was even talking about. So it translates to Lord, or sovereign, like you're sovereign, your Lord, whatever. But he was talking about how some people feel like even that's too formal. Some Jews believe, oh, that's too formal. It's too close
Yeah.
to it or whatever. You don't say anything in reference to some shit. Which I'm sure that debate's probably been going on for fucking centuries.
Yeah.
And that's probably why it's like Ba and all this, and there's all that confusion. But it all is reference to the same God.
But we have to look into the idea of if they are sons of El or not, because that's just where my whole, I guess, standpoint comes from. Because if it comes from like an original text that they stopped including, I'm pretty sure, or they denounced later on, where it originates that these are the sons of El, but then it gets later dismissed.
Well, we are the sons of El. They refer to shit like that all the time. We are the sons of El.
But
Israel.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, why do you need to make up Yahweh and Baal and we're not just worshiping the main thing? Like, that's my point. It's like this weird control or this weird misleading, misguidance, or co-opting, or I don't know what exactly it is, but it makes me skeptical of it. Like, I still read the knowledge or take the knowledge, and like the stories and
So
connect
wait, you're
them.
skeptical because they keep changing them.
Like, why does it have to not just be one thing? Like, why is it Yahweh worship, Baal worship?
So as I was saying, it's because there's many Orthodox, unorthodox Jews, and it's always been a thing forever. But one agreement is the name of God is Yahweh, but you're not supposed to say that. It is he. It's I don't know if it's one of the Ten Commandments, but he says not to fucking say it somewhere in the Torah, so they can't say God. And then they use Elohim, but they felt like, I'm sure they felt that was too formal, so they changed it to Baal or whatever the fuck. And then that was too formal
But
because Jews, Orthodox Jews, they get very, and especially back then, it's like your religion means a fucking lot to you, so they're gonna change shit. Plus, and then they're gonna spread out and different things. And different languages are gonna get tied in. Like Hebrew was brought back from the fucking dead type shit. It was like as a language, not people, but because Hebrew was fucking not used for the longest time, I'm pretty sure. And then they were like, we're getting too far away with all these fucking names, like you're saying. We need to go back to just reading the fucking Hebrew text. Fuck translating it to Yiddish and translating it to fucking this and that, and fuck that. That's pretty much.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think it's all like it's just too far. Like, it's been too mutilated, in my opinion. Like,
that's how I feel about Christianity, and that's why
Yeah.
I turned more towards Judaism, because, well, now they're just like, fucking. When I was asking the rabbi like shit about Torah or whatever, because we didn't have enough fucking people at the, because you need at least 10 worshiping Jews at synagogue to read from the Torah, because it's supposed to be a communal thing, Well, we didn't even have 10 people there, so we couldn't do that. I think it actually has to be men, specifically 10 men, but I don't know. We didn't read from it much, but when I asked him a lot of questions, he would just say, learn Hebrew. Because there's a lot of shit, it's like, this doesn't translate all that well, and that's why they just decided we're going to just go back to the original Hebrew text, stop trying to translate it and all this shit. And they have like little, like, colloquial things like, oh, here's what it is, but next, like, in the shit, it was literally, this side of the page is the translation, this side of the page is the actual Hebrew writing.
Okay.
Because, as you said, it starts to lose its fucking meaning, it starts to get too diluted, and I feel like that's a big thing that's happening with Christianity, because now there's Catholicism, fucking Lutheranism, other ones that I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I gotta just like I guess study more about each of the Abrahamic religions because I don't know much. Like, I only know the basics, I guess. But to me, it's just like I don't know if I could ever bring myself to like go to an institution anymore. Like, it just seems like they're all like part of the same thing. Like, I know you got small churches, synagogues, etc. They're really cool. They're connected, but like it's just I guess like it depends if you want the community or not. That's my thing. Like if you don't think you need that community, then like a place to gather, then it's fine. But like if you want that, then that's fine too. But it's just like I'd rather just like study them myself and like worship what I want to worship.
So I agree. You don't have to worship, but I think it. I went because it interests me, and to experience firsthand what they're doing is, well, fascinating.
You want to experience it. That's
like,
fair. That's fair enough for me.
Yeah. So, what was I gonna say? Something else I was gonna say to what you were saying, but continue. I apologize.
I don't know. It's just like to me, like any, like if I don't necessarily look at it like it's a great thing other than you have guidance and principles for your life if you're a part of any kind of like organized mainstream religion, I guess. Like if you're a part of Judaism or Islam or anything, it's like it just is great that you have structure to your life that you're finding like helps you and is bringing you peace and enlightenment hopefully in your life. But like it baffles me how you can like pick a side, I guess. Like it's crazy. Yeah, it's just crazy it's hard to pick. It's hard to pick a team.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
So on the community thing, so I know Crowder says it a lot. I think Peterson said it as well. But everybody has a God-shaped hole in their heart, as they say, that you'll fill with something. And Peterson also talks a lot about Jordan Peterson, obviously. I'm talking about I don't know if the book's visible in the camera for the audience, because I know you know. But
JP.
Yeah, Dr. Peterson was saying something along the lines of like one of the other big benefits to religion, not only the moral guidelines and all, but it's the communal aspect. It's something you do all the time, and I'll agree. I was talking with people when I went to when I'd celebrate Shabbat and go to synagogue. I talk with people way older than me and just have like good, real conversations and have that sort of communal sense. And that was a lot of the benefits to it of going, is that communal sense. And I feel like people nowadays, and Crowder talks about this a lot, but I big time agree, is like people have filled this God-shaped hole because everyone's become so secular, atheistic, or whatever the hell they are now.
Yeah.
And we're also so detached from our own local communities. People go online, and that's why this political sphere has gotten so fucking divided, is because people are filling it with that, with their other ideologies, because you want to have a community of people who share the same similar moral values as you, because if you walk into synagogue, hey, at the very least I know we both worship the same God, we both have the same overall principles. You walk into a fucking bar, well, that guy might be a fucking hick, and that guy might fucking want to cut kids' dicks off or something. I don't fucking know. And you don't know. You can maybe try to tell by the way they dress, but that's not always fucking a sure shot. And then it's like, even so, how do you go up and start a conversation? Whereas that communal aspect, you go up and you can start talking about, what did you think of the service today? And then that can spawn a conversation.
Yeah. I agree. I just think that that is a true thing about religion. Yes.
Yes.
I think that is a true thing about many other things, maybe just a general aspect of life, that anything that you can do like almost communally, except for like some stuff, is like it's great. Like to be active and a part of the community, as long as you still get your time, is like amazing. Like I'm thinking if it's like you're in a sport or you're into collectibles
Exactly,
or you're
but
into
not everybody has that kind of thing.
right.
And back in the day, it's
Right,
like,
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
if you're just limited to like a bar or a club
if
or
you're
some
limited
stupid
to
shit, that sucks.
working, yeah, if you're limited to work and then the same few friends or whatever the hell, it's like that was a way too of like, okay, we all live in the same fucking town. Well, we know every Sunday we're gonna get together, or Saturday if Jewish, get together and we're gonna pray and whatever, and then we have a service after.
Right.
And we can talk and we can communicate with our
Yeah.
fucking neighbors.
Yeah, and I agree with you with the part that it's like I thought about this too initially. Like a huge part of it is that you're there to like hopefully practice the same faith, right? Like that's pretty much, you don't go to like a Christian church to practice Islam or something. No, you go there to practice the same faith. So it's like that's huge too. Like, but that's with anything, I guess. Really, like if you're there to, but the same objective or same intentions or same place of heart and mind, then like that's really like the ultimate feeling, like for anything. So it I understand that. That's like a huge like attraction for fucking organized religion and shit like that, like institutional religion. But it's just like, damn, that shit kind of feels culty a little bit.
No, dude, I went to an actual church once, and I made a mistake. We went to a Catholic church, and that shit felt real culty.
Oh,
Everyone in
yeah.
the fucking white robes.
The small Catholic churches feel real culty.
It was fairly big actually, but
I went
it was
to a
like
big one.
all the glass panes, all the like. I think the fucking architecture is fucking beautiful. I love that
Bro,
shit.
there's
But
theories
when they're
that-
given a
yeah.
service and they're in all these white robes and all this shit, it's very
Yeah.
culty feeling. And
I mean, what the hell is the rabbi wearing?
the rabbi,
Does he have some getup?
I mean, he kind of wears whatever the fuck, and he just has to wear certain. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The like scarves that they wear with like the white and the blue, and it has to have fringes or whatever. Wear that, and they have to wear one of these.
Yes, sir. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, yarmulke or kippah, if you want to use the Yiddish term. I think kippah is Yiddish. But we've been going for an hour 30. I think we should cut this one off here. Episode numero uno. Talked about fucking a lot of shit.
Yeah, we talked about Paradise Lost, and that's pretty much the central theme of the whole thing.
Supposed to, and then we talked about music for a good like hour there, actually.
Yeah.
But the soul, things that feed our soul. Music feeds my fucking soul.
Yeah, exactly. That's tied in directly.
Yeah. So.
Until next time.
Thank you for listening.
Love y'all.
Give yourself a kiss.
Mwah. Hell yeah.
Thanks and welcome for watching a fucking first ever episode. Make sure to rate on whatever the hell you're watching this on, comment, and subscribe to our Patreon. I know this episode's up on a Tuesday, but from this point going forward, Thursdays at 6 p.m., you tune in on your favorite podcasting network and find us there. Is that all?
That's about everything.
Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. I don't remember what the first episode was about now, but yeah.
Babies.
Babies. I think it was about the soul.